And I also started to improve my writing. I was under a news editor, brilliant, and he picked word by word and says, "Why did you use this? Okay, you tell me, why did you use this, Abin?" Then I started to think, and I started to ask questions to my sentences. Why? Once I used the word, "It was a great shot." By the way, I reported sports. He said, "It was a great shot." It took me inside. I said, "You know the meaning of great?" I said, "Yes, you say a good shot, but greatness, you achieve greatness over a period of time." But then when I see in words have begun to lose their meaning, we just use it without fully understanding the meaning of the words. That is very sad. But as writers, we take care of the words.
Yes, yes.
When I never use now, it's a great shot because I remember what he said. Greatness, we can't use that so lightly.
Yeah. It's like we had an English teacher in Sacred Arts in Bangalore, and she'd say, never use the word nice. Only people who have nothing else to say nice,
Nice,
So it's like that. So, we were fortunate to have grown up at a time when we had these mentors, who actually took care. And there were also people in the know. They knew what they were talking about. And it's fantastic to know that you've been mentored by such lovely people who've actually shown you the path. But as a journalist itself, because in this, there's a lot of the journalist in you in Shamal Days who's telling the story. So there's a thin line, of course, when a journalist or when anybody writes a novel, there's so much taking from real life. Which we then transpose. We make up the name of a city or a place, You could kind of make a wild guess, but then, so that way. So could you talk about, those aspects, about being a journalist who's recreated the story and also the setting and the characters. You could also use some small excerpts to elucidate this point, yeah? Thanks.
No, the country that I lived in was a country of expatriates. Let me just. This is a small portion we're going to read where young Abbas, when he was young, he used to walk around looking for job, and okay, there's many. So when I lived there, we used to go to the Corniche, and I used to watch these people and wonder their stories. These people are walking on the Corniche. They all have their own story, their own stories of struggle, their own stories of how they ended up, why they came, and to a land of fortunes, and what are they aspiring for? What would be their stories back home, the family, the issues, the money they have borrowed to come to this land. So I used to keep looking at them. Perhaps it reflected. I never knew that I'd be storing those thoughts for a novel. But this is what it is, and this is. Now, by the Corniche, they leaned against the stone benches and relived the days of hardship when they found shelter in the sheds thatched with the dry fronds of date palms, sleeping shirtless through sultry, baking summer nights, wrapped in cheap blankets during the bone-freezing winter nights, looking at gentle sea with many weathered storms tucked inside them. They remembered how the small country had evolved and developed right in front of their own sunburned eyes, and how most of them remained trapped in peculiar circumstances. They heaved long, heavy sighs. They were warm yet unfamiliar, like siesta gusts or the shamal, whirling in from the desert, spraying tiny, shiny powder of sand. No matter how many years they lived in the country, slogging it out in the sun, killing themselves day by day, knowing, estranging themselves from their own backyards and bedrooms back home. They would never become a part of the country. They would always remain expatriates, the second class, dispensable residents. They could be asked to go back home anytime, deported unceremoniously, dumped without regret like leftover waste from the previous night's feast. Worse, after many summers, their sons follow their footsteps. Years later, shadows of the fathers and sons emerge under an inescapable scorching sun.
How beautiful is that?